So Halloween is over. I lost my costume competition at work. And I think the thing that we all need to point to is that I was not doing this for a demo of men aged 35 to 42.
You got to know your crowd for
Got to
sure.
know my
You gotta
crowd.
know
I
your
went
crowd.
as Casey Jones, specifically from the 1987 animated series.
Did you make the winners platform, the top 3? Did you get anything?
No, I came nowhere close to it, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
I lost to a Ronald McDonald, who did a fantastic job with the whole costume and the face paint. I lost to someone who just bought a Batman costume. People know who Batman is. I get it.
Which Batman was he, roughly?
He was Robert Pattinson.
Oh, so a real darkish Batman.
Yes, the dark one. And he did the eye makeup, so credit there. I'll give him credit for that. And then a team of 8 won 3rd place, and I would assume that they all voted for themselves.
A team of 8?
Yes.
Well, I do got to appreciate the coordination of 8 people on the same page. However, it's kind of cheating.
Well, yes, and I would also think that you would do the old, hey, if you vote for me, I'll vote for you, and then you just still vote for yourself.
Right.
Have you ever voted? I know you've played on teams. You've done sports.
Yeah.
Did you ever vote yourself as captain?
No, I don't think I ever cared enough to be officially named as a captain. I think I would speak up every now and then, but I was more of a lead by example type of guy. At least then, I think I'm more of a vocal type of leader now.
You're a real Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Always.
But voting for yourself, and I remember one specific kid that did this for the baseball team.
Yeah.
It makes you a real fucking asshole. That's what it does.
So also with my Halloween costume, I put it on at my house before, leaving for work. And my wife said to me, I have no idea what you're supposed to be. Which should have been an early sign not to do it.
Yeah, being that the person you've spent every waking day of your life with for the last, I don't know,
last
8,
decade.
10 years. If she doesn't recognize your Casey Jones, then I'm not sure anyone you work with will. So, what did you get for did people ask you? Did people
what did I get for last place? What did I get for last place? I got nothing. Oh, I got spooky golfer. I got someone asked me if I was from Street Fighter.
4.
I got someone asked me if I was the sportsman or something like that from DC Comics. I can't think of what the name is.
Okay.
But there was a character that's kind of like Casey Jones.
Gotcha. Isn't Ninja Turtles now technically a part of DC?
No, they're still IDW. It's a whole different thing.
All right.
But also I got a lot of people just having no idea. And then I was like, all right, no one knows. Like less than 20% of my coworkers knew who I was.
Yeah, that's not great.
No, and that's on me.
That's like, you thinking you've got a great joke and then telling someone, then you got to explain the joke because they don't laugh.
And that was the whole thing too, is that when someone said to me, oh, what are you? I would say, I'm not going to answer. You have to figure it out. And if you don't know, I didn't do my job.
Do some homework.
One, goo, 3, yeah! Goo. Jaws 3. Goo. King of Queens. Goo. Meryl Streep. Entertainment.
I'm Goo.
And I'm Mac.
And we are the Mac and Goo program. We are down the road. Down the witch's road.
Goo, we are a couple of hashtag Agathoughts. That's right. I'm stealing that from Screen Crush. I enjoy that.
I don't like that one bit, but go ahead.
Thoughts for Agatha all along. We are discussing, if it wasn't clear already, the latest entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Agatha All Along, Goo. This is the 44th entry overall into the MCU.
It's a lot.
45th for us, because we're splitting the 2 seasons of Loki. So that's 34 movies and 11 seasons of television, Goo.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And when we got to Endgame, I think that was like 21 or something like that, or close to that. We're like double that now. It's sort of crazy. So
it's like rabbits.
It's been a long and winding.
Oh my God.
Road. road. Dun,
Was
dun.
this song, the song that you're singing right now, The Witch's
Yeah.
Road, did you find it to be an earworm?
I was actually singing The Long and Winding Road by the Beatles there.
Oh, I was doing Long and Winding Witching Road.
I would say it sort of caught on to me by the end, especially after the finale when there's a bit of a thing there.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it by the end. Didn't care for it for the most part, and then by the end it wrote me in. So yes, bit of an earworm.
May I pay this show a compliment?
Sure.
I think it's different enough from the other Marvel properties.
I think what really helps this show was a low bar for most people going in. And Goo, speaking to that point, and I was
Yeah.
going to make this point in a few minutes, I think what I'm discovering about myself as an MCU fan for the last, I don't know, 11, 12, 13 years,
Couple
15
2, 3
years now.
years. Yep.
I think I'm really starting to like these sort of like quirky side quests in the MCU. I've learned to appreciate them for what they are.
Because
and
you've
not
always
have
hated
it-
them. You have
Well-
always been like, they're just kicking the can down the road. I don't want this shit.
Well, two things.
Yeah.
Number one, they've sort of figured out how to use it to round out some characters that they've introduced or introduce characters that are going to play a role in the future.
We think.
Instead of sort of taking more known characters and shooting for the stars. We've seen that really not work. However, Loki season 1 did. So I like, the downside of this is you get into shit that we don't care about, like Echo. But this, I felt like, did a good job of balancing that. We cared enough about where it was going, and we cared enough about the characters involved. Whereas a show like Echo, which I think was the most recent entry, show-wise, we just didn't care anything about that. And so I feel like this one did that well enough, anyways, at least going into it.
Echo is a good one to bring up because I would say Echo, Secret War. Sorry.
Secret Invasion.
There's a couple here that I would definitely put below in the I don't care meter, but I definitely had that during this show. I definitely had a lot of moments of just not caring about what happens on this show.
I would say the only show going in that I had lower expectations for were actually two, Echo and She-Hulk. And I think not very quickly, about 3 episodes in, it really wrote me in, and I was really intrigued as to where this show was going. That definitely helps how I view this show and how I ended up sort of coming around and really liking this show.
The Witch's Road, right?
But it's interesting to compare this to a show like WandaVision by the same creator, Jack Schaeffer, where we went in with the highest of high of expectations. And that's sort of what I'm talking about. Like they're almost better off coming in with these, characters off to the side and doing something with them instead of coming in with the Scarlet Witch and kind of disappointing people. And even though by the end of it, these shows might be kind of even for me. So that's sort of what I'm getting at.
WandaVision did not disappoint. WandaVision was great.
All right. I mean, you were kind of disappointed by it, so I
was
don't
disappointed by the final episode of them throwing light at each other after having 8 episodes of amazing storytelling. Yeah, I think the finale was a little bit off. I will also say this is that, so what you're telling me what you want is you want Kevin Feige to have a press conference before all of these shows, every season premiere, being like, don't expect too much out of us, guys.
No. I think all of these shows to strive for something like Hawkeye, where it rounds out a known character that didn't get a ton of screen time and introduces a new character like Haley Steinfeld's character. And that's basically what this show does. And I don't think we sort of expected this show to do that going in, not to get into spoilers. But I think if all these Marvel shows shoot for something like the Hawkeye formula, I think most of them are going to work.
Yeah, I definitely want them to go into a season with a goal. And I think this show did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it hit all of its goals.
Yep.
I think there were too many episodes. I think you could have shaved this down a bit. I don't
know if I agree.
Oh, I thought they meandered around the Witch's Road a bit.
Now, to be fair,
because I didn't like the side characters.
I enjoy the side characters.
That's
because
you love witches.
You got to be
witchcraft.
No. I don't love witches or witchcraft. However, The Craft is a cinematic classic.
Mac is boiling up a witch's brew right now.
You is
Yes.
anti-witch. You're out on
I
witches.
am
You're out on
anti-witch.
like magic powers.
I think witches are very, very boring. I like magic. So
You sure about that?
no,
Sure
because
about that's not why?
I've liked a lot of the magic that Doctor Strange did in Infinity War. Like he did a bunch of cool tricks. He didn't do as many of those tricks in
Sick trick.
Multiverse of Madness. So you were sitting next to me during Infinity War the entire time. I'm like, it's a fucking sick trick. It's a sick trick. There's 150 of these guys now. It's a sick trick. Snakes, sick trick.
Goo.
Yes.
Agatha All Along is a TV 14.
Wait, did I finish my thought or did you just interrupt me
I
mid-thought?
don't-
What
it
was I
seemed like
talking
you-
about?
Seemed like you were meandering there.
I
towards
was
the end.
meandering around the fucking magic road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a TV 14, I guess, miniseries. I don't think we're getting a second season of this show.
Actually, I've seen some talks about possibly a second season. I don't know if it would. If they did a second season, it would be like how Agatha is to WandaVision. Like it'd be characters from this show spinning off into something else.
Hold that thought.
How long I'm gonna forget? You didn't include me in the notes.
I think we see. I did actually. I think we see. I sent it to you
emails?
a bit ago. I think we see Vision Quest do for this show what this show did for WandaVision.
Oh, and Vision Quest is starting to shoot next year. That was in the news, which is, I think, good news.
Yeah, I agree.
I like Vision.
Goo, this is an action, adventure, comedy, drama, fantasy, sci-fi. A lot of things
Spooky.
going on here.
Halloween.
And they did a decent job doing all sorts of stuff in there as well. Subgenres, never heard of either of these two. Dark fantasy and supernatural fantasy. So
I've heard of both of those.
If you're into those, apparently it's present in this show. Goo, there was 9 episodes in this, totaling 307 minutes, taking out the credits and the previews and whatnot. That's the equivalent of 5 hours and 7 minutes of content. So this is essentially 2 movies long, if not more, of content. And now I would agree that the beginning 4 episodes of this show have some fluff in there and have some bore. But once we get to episode 5, I think all the rest is quite necessary and quite good, in fact. On Roddy T's Goo, 83% from the critics, 82% from the audience.
Not bad, yeah.
Audience score-wise, that is tied for the 5th highest behind Loki Season 1, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, oddly, WandaVision, 4th at 88%, and then this, Loki Season 2, Falcon and Winter Soldier, all have 82. Below this is Miss Marvel, and then a steep drop-off to Echo, Secret Invasion, and She-Hulk. On Metacritic, this has a 66, which is 7th best, and that's behind Miss Marvel, WandaVision, Loki Season 1, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, tied with Hawkeye for 7th, and below it is Loki Season 2, Secret Invasion, and Echo. So the critics and the audience is telling you this is roughly middle of the pack for these Marvel shows. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I probably liked it more than your average fan, but I think that's pretty close. Goo, I mentioned her already. This show is created by Jack Schaeffer. She's the showrunner here, and she was also the creator and showrunner on WandaVision, which I think Feige probably had more to do with than he does in this. And she was also a writer on the Black Widow movie. She is not going to be the showrunner on Vision Quest, but I do think she is going to have a pretty heavy hand in that as a producer. We also got 3 different directors throughout this season: Rachel Goldberg, Ganja Montero, hell of a name, and of course Jack Schaeffer. 9 writing credits on the season. I'm not going to run through those. Synopsis for Agatha All Along: a spellbound Agatha Harkness regains freedom thanks to a teen's help. Intrigued by his plea, she embarks on the witch's road trials to reclaim her powers and discover the teen's motivations. Now, I think the strength of this show throughout most of it, especially once you get into the thick of it, is you don't really know what's coming around the corner. And so that level of intrigue really keeps you going and sort of keeps you clicking on that show title every Wednesday night or Thursday morning, whenever you'd go to watch it. There's something to be said about the level of intrigue that the show built.
I don't know. I think that because it definitely doesn't have that intrigue that Wanda had, that Loki had. I think middle of the pack, really, when it comes to everything going down the report card, fits this show.
Well, yes, but you're not. It shouldn't have the intrigue of characters that we watched over a 20 movie run. You know what I mean? So again, that sort of goes into the expectation level of this. But then, to me, the quality and the storytelling in this
It's
show
quality on your end.
equals what those shows gave us. But we had higher expectations for those shows.
Because I also think, and I'll give the show credit too, they had decent reveals, or they at least had a reveal at the end of every episode.
They had a plethora of reveals, especially in the second half of the season.
My issue, though, is that after every reveal, I'd go, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think this is a goo issue. I think there's a goo issue on this one. I
And
don't know if too many people are echoing that same sentiment.
And while one of the reveals I think has cool potential moving forward, you kind of have played your hand with other characters that they need.
Say that again.
In English? While one character is very cool and there is some cool stuff they can do with her, you've already used some of the characters that they would need for their storylines.
Okay, I see what you're talking about there, but a larger Marvel Infinity type level of story. I'm picking up what you're putting down there. Goose, speaking of characters, this show stars Kathryn Hahn as Agatha Harkness. Of course, we saw her in WandaVision. Joe Locke as the teen, the mysterious teen. And
Not a wolf, just a teen.
Some of that when we get to spoilers. Sashir Zamata as Jennifer Kale. Ali An as Alice Wu Gulliver. Patty Lapone as Lilia Calderu. Deborah Jo Rupp reprising her role as Mrs. Hart. We saw her in WandaVision. And then we have Aubrey Plaza in here as Rio Vidal, a new addition. And then we also get the Salem 7 here that are tied into Agatha's backstory. And these 7 things are Vertigo, Coyote, Crow, Fox, Owl, Rat, Snake. I guess that makes Vertigo the bees thing we saw, which is, I gotta say, if there was a little bit of disappointment in this show, it's that these things are introduced very early in the season and they don't really end up meaning anything at all. They were sort of a red herring, I guess.
Right. But did you really need a payoff to these, or are you happy with where the show took you instead?
No, I'm happy with where the show went, but I also think we probably needed more of some of that background with Agatha, Rio, and the Salem 7, a little more fleshing out there. But to that point, we got 5 hours of content as it was. Goo, I'm not going to speak too much pre-spoilers here, but I just got to say, this show ends up serving as a backdoor pilot for a very notable character in the comics. Not one that I was very aware of, but I became aware of these last couple of years. Aubrey Plaza's introduction as this Rio Vidal character is awesome. She's great in it. It is the perfect character for Aubrey Plaza.
Practical effects, too. Good job.
Yes, really, really good job. Episodes 7 and 8 were awesome, especially episode 7. Episode 7 was one of the better episodes of television I've seen in the last couple of years. And overall, I enjoyed 7.5 of the 9 episodes. I really enjoyed this season much more than I anticipated going in. And once again, I think I'm sort of discovering about myself as an MCU viewer that I do like these quirky side quests. Not too crazy, not Echo level, but stuff that had somewhat meaning already built in and then building upon that, whereas Echo had nothing going in and built nothing on it. So that's the distinction I want to make there.
Echo also ruined Kingpin.
Echo did ruin a pretty well-liked character. You're correct.
Which, and Echo tried some new stuff too. I just don't think it paid off at all. Some of the stuff not to, bash Echo over and over again, but this show at least, like, even the first episode that has a lot of throwaway stuff, there's a lot of fun in there. Like with the fake show that she believes that she's in, there's a lot of fun happening there.
Well, yeah, it's her life. She didn't even think she was a show. That was and that harkens back to some of what WandaVision did, right? So I think if you like that about WandaVision, you really appreciated that sort of introduction to this show.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, man. I don't like witches. What are you going to say?
All right. You want to get to the nonagon here?
Let's get to the nonagon. Well, what did they use? What's a spooky shape?
A pentagon is a spooky shape.
Pentagon. So I guess we had to shave 4 off of this, so we can add 4 back on after.
A pentagon times 2 minus 1.
There we go. Fun factor. And how fun was this show? And I guess the fun really goes back and forth where I love Kathryn Hahn. I don't think she was in a ton of this show. She almost seemed like she didn't want to be there, and that's kind of what the character's all about. But because she wasn't that same fun character that we had in Wanda, she felt different. She felt like a different character. Obviously, she's gone through a lot, but we do learn like who she is more. I don't know, man. I don't think it was that fun.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with you more. I felt like Kathryn Hahn and Aubrey Plaza are like clearly having a blast playing these characters, and I thought that really helped the show, and that
And
really
that's all you
played up
care about is the people
fun
having
of
fun?
the show. No, I think that it inherently makes the scenes between those two especially, but in general, it makes the show more fun.
Mac is the biggest fan of Jimmy Fallon because he's always having fun.
Unless he has those Costco family on, then
That is my favorite interview of all time. I am in a vortex on X right now of just all Costco and Rizzler stuff where it's great. It's amazing.
I don't come out strong against random people on the internet too often, just more notable movie directors. I wish nothing but the worst on that Costco family. I want all the bad things to happen to them.
But have you heard him say double chunk chocolate cookies?
Yeah, out.
That's his catchphrase.
I hope they stub their toes.
But I also love the chicken bake that they have at Costco too. It's a delicious fucking treat.
We're not giving the Costco family any run on this program.
You know what we actually do in the Antonelli household is that when we make pizzas, sometimes we make the Costco chicken bake pizza where we just take all the ingredients and turn it into a pie.
Great.
Yep. It's fresh. It's delicious. Satisfactor, were you satisfied by the end of the show? I do want to see where one of the characters goes. And because of this one character, where does another one go? And we can kind of put an end to a couple of these characters, but we're going to keep... There's so much that you can't say because of spoilers.
Yeah. To that point, I really like 3 plot points or 3 paths that this show concludes with and where those might lead. Although some of the reveals throughout this show were kind of telegraphed and or sniffed out ahead of time, a couple of them were still very satisfying.
But you're all over Reddit. You love Reddit.
Not recently, not for these shows, more so for like months ahead of movies. Specifically, Goo, the Satisfactor revolving around Agatha's history with the Witch's Road, I thought was awesome. And I also really liked the shit revolving around Aubrey Plaza's character.
Bore-ometer. I fell asleep during 5 episodes.
Yeah, admittedly here, the first 4 episodes have moments of bore when they're kind of jumping through these trials, and it's got a little bit of a Wizard of Oz feeling to it. It wasn't, the strength of this show wasn't the first 4 episodes, that's for sure.
For the last 2 episodes, I actually made sure that I watched them at like 8:15 at night. Or actually, no, they come out right at 9. So right at 9 o'clock, I watched it, but I watched it from a folding chair.
Okay.
To make sure I didn't fall asleep.
Sure. Yeah,
I broke out a folding chair and I sat and watched Agatha.
Those things are impossible to fall asleep in.
You say that, but I could probably fall asleep in one. Folding chairs have gotten very, very comfortable. The other day, I was actually telling my wife, because we have a nice folding chair. And I said, Mac and I have a very, very fun joke at trivia that the good folding chair is an OSHA-approved folding chair that we can stand on. She didn't really laugh, but she thought it was kind of cute.
Yeah, does she even know what OSHA is?
I asked her after, and she said yes, and then she explained it to me. So she understood what OSHA was.
All right, good.
I think every workplace has OSHA.
That can't be right.
I don't know either. Guys, tell us right now, do you know what OSHA is?
I think every manual labor institute has OSHA.
Halloween. I like that it was released during the Halloween season. I'm going to interpret this differently. So congrats to them.
All right. Credit to
you
there.
They timed it out. So the final 2 episodes came out on Halloween week.
Knowing what we know now, Goo, I actually want to go back and rewatch the first half of the show before some of the reveals to see if I can pick up on some of the things that are sort of exposed by the end of this show. And moreover, I think this show rounds out WandaVision a little bit more as well. So credit to Jack Schaeffer, that's for sure.
Because nothing gets me more frazzled than when a spooky show goes beyond Halloween. American Horror Story needs to learn from this.
Okay, sure.
Not that I'll ever watch American Horror Story ever again, but that first season,
one of the best seasons of television of all time.
Amazing.
I'll defend that season of television to death.
Waterworld, it's better than Waterworld.
This baby floats. Oh yeah, it floats.
But it definitely needs floaties. I don't think it can swim on its own.
I think the second half of the show is a professional, maybe Olympic level swimmer.
Oh, we're gonna start doing this now. Okay. I'll say better. I would say it has a life vest, not water wings. I'm not going to disrespect it.
I'm not saying the second half of the show is like Katie Ledecky level, but it swims.
Like, I'm not saying that it can do the triple Lindsay, but it's not. When life gives you Plemons, you make Plemonade, Mac. And who do you believe made Plemonade on this show?
Patty LuPone was fucking fantastic. She was sort of a side character amongst this whole thing, but her storyline in this season of television culminates in maybe the coolest moment of the season. Loved that. Additionally, a more side character, and maybe more what Plemonade is talking about, is Aubrey Plaza. She was great every time she popped up in this show. She really brought it. So both of them made Plemonade.
I thought she was a little Hella-esque, where she was chewing it up a little bit too much.
No, she was having more fun than Hella. Hella was too mean.
You should have had that in the fun factor. I can't give it to Joe Locke, right? He's too much of a main character.
So let's get to Credit Union. We can talk about Joe Locke. Although let me do Pants Tent City real quick.
Fine, go ahead. Go ahead, Pants Tent. What do you got?
Episode 7, fantastic episode of television. Again, one of the better episodes of television I've watched in the last couple of years. I thought it was phenomenal, and the way that character and that storyline comes together in that awesome moment in the finale of that, or the final moments of that episode, was fucking great.
Because I think that Joe Locke, let's get to Max Credit Union now. I think that he's great in this. Granted, I think that he's now going up against a bit of a watered down Agatha than what we saw in WandaVision.
Again, don't agree there about
Agatha.
Said
it like you, though. I said WandaVision for a second.
This being Joe Locke's only his second ever IMDb credit to me, Goo, is insane. The only other thing he's ever been in, at least according to IMDb, is the Netflix show Heartstopper, which I've never heard of. Never heard of it. Apparently it's still going. So the fact that this is his second ever run and he's, going toe to toe with Kathryn Hahn, to me is quite impressive. And to that point, this show does not work without Kathryn Hahn's range and her ability to sort of change a character note or a character trait in an instant. She's awesome in this. And a third credit here, of course, Jack Schaeffer, because I think she had complete control of this show. The casting department, I thought, absolutely nailed this show. The casting was great. One of the best parts about this program.
For those of you tardy to the Mac and Goo party, we rate everything on a 40 hot dog rating system. Mac, I'll let you go first.
So to give the people some perspective on where I stand on these MCU shows, I don't think anything has really gotten to the elite level tier, but I do have Loki season 1 on a tier of its own at 37 hot dogs. After that, I think there's this group of shows that I really enjoy to certain degrees. They're not perfect, but enjoyable. I've got Hawkeye, 35 hot dogs. Miss Marvel, another pleasant surprise at 34. And then I have WandaVision and Loki season 2 at 33 apiece. The rest of the shows below that, a step or two below. She-Hulk at 31, Moon Knight at 30, Falcon and Winter Soldier 28, Secret Invasion at 27. That's definitely Halloweened over time. And Echo at 20. Echo by far the worst show they've done. With that in mind, Goo, I think this show is no worse than 6th. I have it right up there in that mishmash behind Loki season 1. I might even have it as high as 3rd or 4th, depending on how this feeling really settles in, right in that 33, 34 hot dog range for me. Still trying to find its spot.
So you have it like in a middle tier.
I have it. It's in the 2nd tier, I guess, technically, but it's with 4 other shows. So it's no higher than 3rd or 4th, but it's no worse than 6th. I think I liked it more than WandaVision, which is weird for me. It's a really weird thing to think about.
WandaVision,
they might end up having the same
captivating. What are you doing?
Was it?
Yes.
Was it?
It captured the nation's imagination.
No, it captured yours because you like old-timey TV.
I like old stuff. It's
I
showtime.
liked I liked WandaVision, but the expectation for WandaVision was like 38 hot dogs. The expectation for this was like 20, and I think they actually ended up being about the same. So
hate how
again,
you rate things now.
No,
Your
no, no.
expectation sucks.
No.
If it's okay,
No,
then it's
no, no.
okay.
That doesn't change the rating. It's just the feeling towards the rating is different. So like WandaVision, I have at 33. I have this right about there. However, I expected this to be way lower than that. So the feeling towards the rating is different. I think that's a very easy thing to understand. I do think this show is pretty similar to WandaVision and Loki season 2, though. I thought it was like really uneven at the beginning, but then once it hits its stride, it's really, really good, really enjoyable, really intriguing. So I think I may have it at that same score, that same 33 in that same exact range. And in the grand scheme of the whole MCU, this is probably like in the late 20s. I have Shang-Chi and Captain Marvel at 33 each, but movie greater than show. So those are above these 33s. And those are 23rd and 24th.
That's how this podcast works. Movie better than show, always.
So this is smack dab in the middle of all of the MCU stuff. This show was much better than I anticipated, and probably much better than it had any business being. This show is a good show, and I think if you asked me to give it a percentage chance to be good 8 weeks ago, I would have said maybe like a 20% chance.
So I would definitely have it below my top, I don't know, 5 or whatever shows, because the ones that you mentioned, and we have them in different order. I think that Loki season 1, we both agree, is amazing. WandaVision, I think it's close to Loki season 1. You have a little disrespect.
To me, Hawkeye is clearly number 2 out of these shows.
I think Hawkeye plays it the safest, and because of that, I can't give it too many flowers. It's still in my top 5, but I don't think it's amazing. I think Loki season 2, because of how it pops at the end, I'd take that over Hawkeye. Miss Marvel is just a delight. And I think that Miss Marvel actually plays more into what you're talking about of having no expectations and then getting something that's really fun.
No,
I think Miss Marvel does that better than this.
Miss Marvel, I might have Miss Marvel a hair above this, but Miss Marvel and She-Hulk are the 2 shows that have really turned me around on this like side character stuff. And like most people hated She-Hulk. I kind of liked it. And
I didn't mind She-Hulk.
Yeah, I think we both admit it's way better than people give it credit for.
And even though the final episode is preposterous, it is insane. They didn't throw lights at each other. I would have this above those last 3. And I would say this is right around Moon Knight for me, because Moon Knight had one episode that blew my fucking balls off. Moon Knight had that one episode. I'm like, this is amazing. The rest of the show isn't great. And the finale of that show, actually, take that back. This is better than Moon Knight. The finale of that show is it's bonkers. He has rubber legs.
Moon Knight
I'm glad that we talked this out.
Moon Knight flashed potential and just never got there.
It never did. So I would have this right below She-Hulk. I think this and She-Hulk are pretty similar, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like She-Hulk is like certainly like a worse version of what this show does. But I didn't mind She-Hulk at all. So
She-Hulk takes more swings at comedy, and while they don't hit a ton of home runs, it's a 289 hitter who just slaps a lot of singles.
So
you
you
want
have
him in your starting lineup? Not every day.
To be clear, you have this 7th ahead of Echo,
7th.
Secret Invasion, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Moon Knight. Yes.
And I would also say, when it comes to that, the me not really caring about what's happening on screen plays a lot into this. And I almost want to blame the Penguin for that, because the Penguin, I'm sucked into every piece of dialogue, everything that's happening on that show, every piece of gabagool. I'm all over the Penguin. This show did not grab me like that.
Can I just say one thing about the Penguin? We'll be talking about that next week.
Unless if this is something that's going to hurt my feelings, then no, don't say it.
Goo, you know what I'm worried about with the Penguin?
What's that?
Is that it peaked too early. The most recent episode, worst episode of the season. Episode 7 was the worst episode of the season.
I mean, he didn't get a top hat. Not to spoil anything, he didn't get that top hat that we all thought he was going to get. So
I'm worried that show peaked too early and isn't going to give us a satisfying conclusion.
If he picks up an umbrella, I'm in. $40.
But to your point, it is It didn't help this show that it's going up against Penguin.
I
every
know
week,
that
that's
we're
for
not
sure.
supposed to prop one thing up by bringing something down or bring something down by propping. I don't know what we're doing anymore. We're 750 episodes into this podcast, guys. But it didn't help it for me. And I was bored during this show. And it's not even because of the lack of effort. It's not because of the lack of effort from the show. I think the themes of the show didn't really do it for me. I think the portrayal of Agatha in this show felt different to me. And it's been like, what, 5 years since WandaVision? How many years has it been?
It's been 4. 2020.
And maybe that might be an issue too, where I thought that was a dynamite character then. And we've wandered down the witch's road a bit too far for me to care anymore.
No, that's a valid point, and that's an MCU point overall. I think that people would reflect that sentiment. But yeah, I guess now that we're talking now, I think I would have this 4th. I've got Loki season 1, Hawkeye, and Miss Marvel above it, but this has the same score as Loki season 2 and WandaVision. Arrange those how you would. I think right now, maybe because it's the most recent one I've seen, I'd have this 4th, but tied with those other two. But you know, in that mishmash of shows, it's a quality show. It's not like, I think going in, I was expecting Echo level, and it's way better than that.
I have this at 28 hot dogs, 27, somewhere around there.
Yeah, you're
27. Let's say 27.
Scrooge.
I was talking to my father-in-law who, used to buy all the X-Men comics, Spider-Man comics. Like, he was a big Marvel fan. And he's not really a fan of these shows and movies anymore. And I said, what would get you back into these movies? And he said, just have Wolverine fight the Hulk. Like, it was that simple. He's like, just do simple crap. I'm back.
So that's like, one of the biggest criticisms of Deadpool and Wolverine was that it was kind of meaningless in the grand scheme of the MCU, but it was made for people like that.
Yes.
They have to appease those people every once in a while. So it just is what it is. I find myself going the opposite direction of your father-in-law. As much as I like those movies, I'm starting to like these little stupid.
I'm an artist now. I used to be. I like this now. And this is coming from me. I liked Werewolf by Night.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that thing.
Werewolf by, was it Midnight?
I don't know. Whatever the hell it was called.
By the way, that creature should have popped up in this. Oh, should we do spoilers real quick?
Yeah, spoilers. Okay,
so the Werewolf by Midnight didn't pop up in this. I was a little disappointed. I wanted the Werewolf by Midnight to pop up. And what I liked about that over this, spoilers section. Yeah, what I liked about that over this is that was 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I didn't like about it. It's just there's no real. It's meaningless, is what that was.
But you love werewolves.
I don't know if that's true about me.
You said you wanted to be a werewolf instead of a vampire.
I don't know enough about myself to know whether that's a true claim or not, but I don't think I do like werewolves.
Do you dislike werewolves more than I dislike witches?
No, certainly not. Your disdain for witches seems unreasonable.
Oh, let me ask you this. Final couple episodes. There were too many witches, right?
No.
Were there that many witches just hanging out and looking for covens?
Yes, they said at the beginning, like within a 3-mile radius, there's always enough witches for a coven or something like that.
That's kind of like a podcast, I guess. There's always enough middle-aged white dudes to make a podcast.
There's always enough white guys in a basement within a 3-mile radius recording a podcast. Goo!
What?
Let's get to some of the reveals in this show.
All
and
right,
my favorite one that we get in episode, at the end of episode 8, beginning of episode 9 here, is that this Witch's Road, which is what most of this show takes place on, was all a bunch of bullshit originally made up by Agatha just to cook up, this story to steal other witches' power. And I thought that was awesome. And the reveal is that Billy, Wanda Maximoff's son, that's another reveal.
Kaiser Sose.
He embodied the soul of Billy Maximoff embodies Billy Kaplan. It was all shit in his world that he cooked up. And what we discover in this reveal is that Agatha knew all along. Agatha knew all along that this Witch's Road was something that Billy cooked up because it never existed. So when you go down there, when you go down there, she realizes how powerful he is. And that's when she realizes it's Billy Maximoff, Wanda's son, because the only other person that can create these alternate realities, these pocket universes, is Wanda. And that's the whole reason why she sort of pursued Wanda in the first place. And that tidbit is really, really great storytelling. And it makes me want to go back and rewatch those first few episodes.
I do question. So all of these witches who tried to become a coven with her and they try to blast her with their powers and whatnot, they all do the same thing. None of them have a different strategy as to when, someone is trying to deceive them. I feel like some would have a slight variation, right? They all do the exact same thing. But
Well, I think they're all untrained
also,
witches.
if these witches, and I understand that a lot of them don't have people to go back to, but some of them have to at least have a couple friends or a couple pieces of family or something like that. And when all these witches go
No, dude.
missing,
No.
but there's no
The whole
lore.
po the whole
There's
no.
no lore or mythos about this other witch who's stealing everyone's powers.
So what you're missing here is the time frame. It was a witches hunt going on in the Americas at the time. So that's why they seek refuge in other witches and don't have family to go back to. Now, I do agree we needed more lore built out with Agatha and the Salem 7 and what happened to her in Darkhold stuff that we didn't get. But when it comes to that, there was no refuge for those witches other than other witches. That's
Yeah.
like an American history thing that they're kind of playing upon there.
But there would be no one else to be like, hey, where did Shailene go?
You can't ask those questions. We're like, oh, she was a fucking witch. We killed her.
Aubrey Plaza's death, by the way.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. This was like one of the ones that from the beginning of the show, everyone kind of had sniffed out and was hoping for. Really cool reveal in episode 7 with Lilia's stuff and her face with the practical effects was super cool. I thought one of the coolest moments of this show, Goo, was this like Truman Show moment where Aubrey Plaza is the only other character, Death Rio is the only other character that realizes this witch's road is all bullshit and from Billy's, magic. She tears that fabric of reality with her knife. I thought that was super cool. And I liked the dynamic of those two being the only two that know what the hell's going on. Also, we learned that Death Rio is the original Green Witch. And there's this whole plot point that's not really outright said, but I think you have to read into here that Agatha's son, and we learned this in the finale, was supposed to die at birth, maybe be a stillborn, something to that effect. And Agatha pleads with Death to give her time. Death does. And built into that, and to your point, there should have been a little bit more background here. It's clear she knows who Death is and has had a run-in with Death before, but we don't get their genesis, the relationship between them, which was a little bit of a disappointment there. However, this whole like trade-off between Agatha and Death, I think is why Agatha starts killing witches. She needs to feed Death these souls because she granted her son Nicholas's life. There's this balance, this ever, changing balance that Death has to deal with. And that's also, and this is why in the comic books, her and Thanos are linked. It's a Thanos type of thing, this whole balance in the universe that they're dealing with.
Well, it's a mix because she also, by them blasting her, she's able to absorb their powers and become more powerful.
Well, that's later. So that's once her son's dead, then I think she's vindictive.
Well, no,
she
used no. So once her son is still alive, when she uses her son to trick witches into stealing their powers.
Yeah, but not to the level it is in the montage. Once we get to the montage level.
I think in the montage, she's also at the point of she doesn't care anymore. She lost the only thing that she actually cares about. So she's like, fuck it, I'll steal all these powers.
Totally agree. But I think initially they're roping these witches in because her son doesn't realize it, but she's saving her son by doing that. So it is odd to have her son mixed in, but it's just what they had to do. Goo.
Yes.
The biggest reveal mid-season here is that this teenager, aka Billy Kaplan, aka Billy Maximoff, is Billy Maximoff, the character of Wiccan in the comics. And I don't know much about him other than he has a lot of the same powers as his mother. Maybe not as powerful, but can do a lot of the same things she can. And this plays up in the finale where, or in episode 8, where Wiccan uses his powers, becomes full Wiccan, has like a somewhat of a comic accurate get up there, which I liked. And I like the nod to the Scarlet Witch's crown as well. And then in that situation, we get Agatha sacrificing herself so that Billy can live on. We get that whole kiss of death scene, which I thought was super cool. And then Agatha lives on as a ghost. And is that because Death sort of agreed to give her a little bit of time too? I'm not
I don't
really
know how
sure why.
ghosts work in this world.
Yeah, I don't know either. This part's pretty unclear why Agatha can
Although,
just exist as a ghost.
the ancient one is able to, through death, and there's a bunch of different heavens and deaths in the MCU, so maybe that's kind of a magic way of going forward.
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering here. One of the things going forward is she operating in that like ghost plane that we see with other characters that their souls have been like punched out of them. Is that where she's at? I don't know. I don't think that's very clear, but I do like that she's still lingering and that her and or Billy are still kind of working together. Do another reveal we get here, and this is something that's implied all the way back in WandaVision, is that Agatha traded her son for the Darkhold to get all these powers. Obviously, in the finale, we learned that wasn't the case. And again, I think we learned that not only did that not happen, she lived her whole life dedicated to making sure he could live. And then it seems like this is inferred. I read this on the internet. I don't know how true this is, Goose. Sometimes they say the internet's not true.
That's not true.
They're saying that the one day they didn't kill a witch was the day that Nicholas Scratch finally died. So I don't know if that's the case or not. But one theory I do like, Goo, is that Agatha's whole motivation in WandaVision is to steal Wanda's powers, right? And that was part of it. We saw that part of it. But she wants to steal her powers because she learns that Wanda is powerful enough to warp reality and create life, and therefore she can reincarnate her son's soul, bring her son back, which is sort of what they're doing with Billy and Tommy.
Yeah, Billy can do that.
I really like that. That rounds out Agatha and the motivations in WandaVision a little bit more. I really like that aspect of it.
I also like, and we brought this up a couple episodes ago, maybe episode 5 or 6, of questioning. So Billy can put his mind or his spirit into a dead child, but his brother was more of a speedster. He was really fast. We're not sure if he could do that. And he's able to by Billy guiding him, which I really liked.
Yeah, it seems like Billy was in control of Tommy's soul in that moment, and even maybe had Tommy's soul inside of him as well. And then they find this other dying child and throw Tommy's soul there. Yeah. And it's inferred at the end of this season, this series, that they're out looking for that kid now to reunite Billy and Tommy.
Oh, by the way,
that'll be interesting.
That wasn't a prank. That was murder, right?
No, the kid was already being murdered.
Yeah, he was murdered. No, what I'm saying, though, I'm not saying Billy or Agatha murdered the kid, but they said at the time, it was like, oh, it was a prank gone wrong. No, those other kids murdered that kid.
Yeah, manslaughter at the very least.
So, like, at first, they tricked him, they pushed him into the pool. Then another kid was holding him down in the water. You saw that, right? That wasn't just me.
I like this is what you're really picking up on here. This is what really
that was sad.
As a father of a kid, this is what is affecting you.
Because I understood that Tommy needed a body to go into it. I'm like, what? Why are these kids killing this other kid?
Goo.
Yeah.
Agatha starts this season of television with no powers. Yeah. She has no powers until she steals Alice's in episode 5, I believe, or 4. And what I really like starting out the series, the way it does, is obviously, Goo, in that first episode, she's still under the spell of Wanda. She's the only one in Westview that is still living in this alternate reality. And I like how, and again, this is why I really ended up really liking this show, how that dynamic flips by the Witch's Road. She's the only one that actually knows they're in an alternate reality. It's the complete opposite of where she started. To me, that's great writing, great storytelling. Of course, besides Rio, I really enjoyed that. Again, I would have liked a little bit more background with the Salem 7 stuff, and maybe where Rio and Agatha first came into meeting each other. But whatever. I guess once you're 5 hours and you can't do too much more. Goo, episode 7, Lilia Calderu. All her time jumping finally is explained, and she figures it out, puts it all together. I thought the moment where she flips the tower upside down, kills the Salem 7 was fucking awesome. And that episode jumping around and them having it written out and playing it up in the prior episodes the way it did, I thought was super cool. We also learned in this episode that Lilia was the one that placed the sigil on Billy at his bat mitzvah. By the end of the season, Goo, one of the things we get is Jennifer Kale surviving. She witch floats off into wherever she goes.
Is that what it's called? She witch floats off.
Apparently, she is connected to Ghost Rider in the comics. She's Ghost Rider's cousin, and she's also tied up with the Midnight Sun. So I think we're going to see Jennifer Kale at some point again. She'll be
Yeah.
a somewhat meaning character.
Yeah, and they've
meaningful
already
character.
talked about wanting to do a Ghost Rider show.
Yeah, yeah, and I think they've planted some of the seeds for the Midnight Suns as well.
Mm.
So that's an interesting thing there. We also learned that Agatha was indeed the one that bound Jennifer a century prior, and she didn't even really remember that. So that was again a nice little note there. I don't think Jennifer realizes though that road experience was completely fabricated. She's like, first of all, she's the one that survives,
Yeah.
and she also doesn't realize it's not real. So she might be going out and telling other witches that need X, Y, or Z, hey, we can go to the
Oh.
witches' road. So that's a really interesting dynamic there as well.
So that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, where I don't think we get a straight out and out Agatha show again, like another season. I think that if they do something else with this, it would be characters from this show getting a spinoff like her, like Billy, maybe forming some kind of a young Avengers, or maybe it's just more with the Witch's Road, but it's not Agatha centric.
Yeah, and I also, so we see Billy close the door to the Witch's Road in the finale.
Yeah.
But I think it might still exist because, again, he can create these little pocket universes, pocket realities. So it might still exist. You just need to figure out how to open the door, which is interesting. It's an interesting dynamic that is kind of still floating off to the side there.
And do you think that Billy and Tommy kind of snap something into Vision when they see him?
So that I'm wondering now what Vision Quest is really all about. So we have White Vision, who we haven't seen in 4 years, but now Billy having his full Wiccan abilities, I feel like is going to be able to somehow tap in to White Vision or connect to White Vision. And on top of that, he's going to be searching for Tommy. So I wonder if Vision Quest kind of brings all of these things together, and maybe that's where we get Wanda pops back. I'm not sure, but I gotta say this show makes me infinitely more interested in what's going to happen in Vision Quest, because prior to this, I was not really all that interested in Vision Quest because it had been so long. But yeah, I think that may pop up there.
Oh, and also, so you mentioned Mephisto.
I
just
didn't.
No, I'm not saying you.
they
I'm
did.
saying the show. The show mentioned Mephisto this time.
Yeah.
Either do it or don't.
Yeah, so let me see here. Let me scroll. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything from the finale. Yeah, got all that. So leftover questions, Goo. No Mephisto.
But they mention him.
They mention him. I think I'm going to need, and this doesn't help the internet shit, I think I'm going to need all these internet nerds to stop doing Mephisto theories, because if they weren't going to do it here, they're not going to do it, right? When are you going to bring them out now? I don't understand. This was the time and place.
I think once again, the issue is that that you can't show the devil in China, and they don't want to ruin their box office bucks.
This wasn't making any money at the box office, so that doesn't make any sense.
I question that.
And here's a question. This might be a question for the comic book boys. Death is superior to Mephisto, right? Like Mephisto would be an agent of death and not the other way around. So if we've already got,
way, I guess.
No, because I think Death is much more powerful than Mephisto. And so if we've already gotten to Death, I don't think we really need Mephisto, right?
And then also with Death, in the comics, she does a lot with Thanos and with Deadpool, and they're both obsessed with her.
Yes, yeah. So you you have a better chance, I think, at this point getting a Deadpool connection than you do Thanos, based on everything that's played out in the MCU. Goo, we don't see the genesis, and I did mention this already, of Agatha and Death's relationship, but she does recognize her in that initial scene when she's giving birth. So I really wish we had seen their first interaction. Again, we don't get much background on the Salem stuff. We don't get the scene of her coming into the Darkhold. I would have liked that. Where do we see the Scarlet Witch next, Goo? That's another question I have, because it's teased here in the back of all of our heads. I'm thinking we all thought she might pop up somehow at the end here. Of course, that didn't happen. So do you think it is in Vision Quest?
I wasn't paying attention. What was that?
Where do we see the Scarlet Witch next? Where does she pop up?
So that also would have been, I'm glad that you brought that up. So Death pretty much says to Billy, do you have any questions for me? Billy should have been like, where's my mom? Is my mom dead?
Yeah, I don't know. And obviously in Billy's mind, he's prioritizing Tommy, and he wants to get Tommy first. So it's not even like he wants his mom. It's almost like he's had his piece there. And he also might, because of his understanding of his powers or his understanding of his mother's powers, he might just realize like if his mom wants to come back, she can come back and he doesn't need to do anything. That might be a part of it as well.
Because he doesn't mind cheating death because he's, well, yeah, it is cheating death. He took a boy's body, much like he's helping his brother take a boy's body.
Yeah. So I wonder if going forward, death is sort of pursuing Billy and, you know, by virtue, Wanda again. Maybe there's going to be a conflict down the line between Wanda and Death, which are like two of the most powerful beings in all of the MCU. So that's something maybe to look forward to.
Let's get into
Mac. And Mac Sack could be anything. It could be a boat. And Mac, speaking of boats, speaking of on Halloween, Bill Belichick and his lady friend dressing as a mermaid and sea captain.
Merman.
I was on the YouTube the other day, and I can't think of the person's channel. Might be Jane Dox or something like that. Jane Doxer. Okay. Don't quote me on this. But she did, and I didn't watch the whole video, but she did a recap of, do you remember in the year 2012 when Animal Planet did what we all believe to be a real documentary on found mermaids?
Yes, I do. I do recall this. Yeah.
What did you, so first off, let's, Animal Planet, which was known, they never fabricated shit. It was always like, here's an animal, here's some facts, let's move on. They had a series about how the U.S. military found mermaids.
I remember distinctly the marketing for this and the couple weeks leading up to it. The internet was ablaze about this whole thing. And in my mind, I just took it as, you know, they had the Ghost Hunter series. They had the Bigfoot Hunter series out there. To me, that's all it was going to be. It's just like these conspiracy people. Oh, I saw. Did you see that? Look over there. You look, there's nothing. That type of thing. It didn't end up being that, but that's what I was taking it to be.
Did you watch it when it was on?
No, of course not.
Oh, I watched it, that first one that it was on, and I was waiting for them to show it. And then they had these horrible looking mermaids pop out of nowhere and then fly away. And you're like, wow, they got the mermaid footage. They got it.
What? So obviously mermaids don't exist, never did, probably never will, unless there's some cross interspecies breeding there.
But what they said is that, they were on land and they kept going to the sea to get food. And then eventually they just webbed their fingers and went into the ocean.
Evolution worked the other way, but that's fine.
Don't question Animal Planet. They're all over this.
We've talked about this in the past couple episodes. I'm not a ghost guy, more of an alien guy. I don't think ghosts exist. I think aliens do. We're just never going to see one. I don't think mermaids exist, never will. However, one thing I could believe in and think it might, because there is vast wilderness that we might never explore, or might never have footage of. I think there's a chance that Bigfoot exists or something like it. A Sasquatch.
See, now I'm the other way around. I think because there's so much ocean, and as you go deeper and deeper, it's too dark to see anything down there anyways, that if there's anything that we don't know about, it's in the water.
No, that's true. And math and probability would say there's a bigger chance maybe of a mermaid-like creature. I just think it's the idea of the mermaid is dumber than the idea of the Sasquatch. So that's why I'm buying into Sasquatch.
And yes, I've asked you this many of times, and maybe your mind has changed. If you had to have sex with a mermaid, which half do you want to be a woman and which half do you want to be a fish?
Yeah, I think I want the top half to be a woman.
Oh, I don't know. Like that.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to look at, Goo?
Look it right into its dead fish eyes. All right, where can the people find us?
It's a lose-lose, that's for sure.
Well, no, I would imagine bottom half, close your eyes.
Nah, can't be. Yeah. I'm not gonna expound upon my answer. I have thoughts, but that's for another time.
Bottom half,
I'll tell you what.
If anyone's pray for death.
If anyone's interested in me expounding upon my answer, if you ever meet me in real life, ask me about it.
Everyone out there, find Mac and ask him about the mermaids. Where can the people find us, Mac?
You can find us on Twitter and on Instagram at Mac and Goo Podcast. Every other platform we are Mac ampersand Goo. It's Mac Shift 7 Goo. That includes Facebook's Tuner, TuneIn, Stitcher, Cat, Spreaker.
Is your
iHeart
signal
Radio?
breaking up? What is happening?
We're on Spotify. More importantly, we're on Apple Podcasts. Get on there, rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars. If you do that, we'll get you a free Mac and Goo t-shirt from the folks over at Watertown Sportswear. That's Watertown Sportswear, 34 Mart Auburn Street in Watertown. WatertownSportswear.com, expert screen printing and embroidery.
tpublic.com, merch. It's the holiday
merch.
season. Go and buy some merch. I think you should leave. Stuff is ready and
It's
also
your
ready.
birthday. We're going to party like it's your birthday.
End of the week, we'll dump. And then
we don't give up because it's your birthday.
Start of next week, we'll do Penguin.
Yeah. Pinguino Minuto will be Pinguino Hour next week. And
yeah, because we're still 2 weeks away from Gladiator.
3 maybe.
And that's the next movie, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. What are your expectations for this Penguin finale?
I'm jazzed. I'm excited.
You're jazzed.
Yeah, I love this. I love this show. And when you said earlier, the weakest of the episodes, episode 7, you still have an amazing Kristen Milioti scene in there where she's talking to the girl.
Only scene of the show of this episode I really like, to be honest with you.
So I'm in. Give me this.
The show's been great. I'm
Top
just
Hat and
worried.
Umbrella.
Again, I'm worried. We already saw its best, and I'm worried. That's all.
I'm not worried at all. They're going to land this plane, and I am. I watched a bunch of scenes.
All right, hold on. I'm worried, Gil. Part of this is that there will be no consequences at the end of this, and everyone we have seen this whole season will all be alive. And to me, that would be a little bit of
people.
Nothing meaningful. To me, if Penguin, Vic, and Sophia are all still alive by the end of this season, I'll be a bit disappointed.
I suppose. I mean, we lost Mr. Maisel. If
I just
tell me
don't
that
know
he
how
doesn't care.
I don't know how they're going to remedy the Sophia Oz thing, because it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to exist at the same time anymore, right?
One of them will say, "I don't even want to be around anymore."
And I thought, like 3 episodes ago, I thought that Vic was for sure going to die, and now I think he's definitely living.
I want to see what Mrs. Cobb does.
Yeah, I think, maybe she's the one that dies, probably, right? I don't know what she's going to have.
Or she's you know what? She might go out in a blaze of glory.
She may. And again, that was the best scene of this past episode. Her and Sophia, that conversation, that scene was awesome.
Well, no, I think Sophia and her niece was the best part of this episode.
Oh, no, I don't agree. I
loved it.
I thought her and Oz's mom was the best part.
No, they're humanizing her again.
No, I mean, they already humanized her. They don't need to do any more of that.
No, because you keep on going, oh, she's too crazy.
I did like that she told her niece the truth. That was a nice little thing, because she started out with a fib, and then she was like, all right, you know what? This will be better if she just knows the truth.
All right, so check us out at that time at the beginning of next week for Penguin. News dump at the end of this week. Tuesdays are Goose Days. I abuse kangaroos.
Bye.
Tim Burton.
Please flip the cassette over to side B to continue the adventure.
Now it's time for girls jumping on trampolines.